Okay, this is Elijah Ignatieff of Planetary Guardians, and we are here with Planetary Guardians Media Team number 2, and we are out to go into our third session. So why don't we have a check-in and maybe talk about your assignment that you did or didn't do, and we'll start there. Lori, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can start. It was actually really easy for me because I have worked with the value system a lot in the last 9-10 years. So I coach a young girl. I'm practicing with her. She's going to be an Olympic curling champion one day. And she just happened to text me the day you asked about us doing this as an assignment. She texted and said, I'm going to Starbucks. Can I bring you a coffee? So I said, okay, because it's perfect. I have a map I want to do with you. Well, she had that done in no time. We didn't use the values cards. She picked her own values. And it went actually quite fast. And then she said, I wonder if I could be on a team of 4 people to do the same thing with Elijah. So she's working with a couple young girls that she's trying to bring together. So the experience was, because she's almost beyond her age. She's 19, but she's like a little old soul. And she just knew exactly what she wanted and what her intention was. And the intention wasn't even, I want to go to the Olympics, but how do I get past the fear that's in me at times in my life right now? And so she went more on that way rather than just going, I'm going to the Olympics, that's my intention. So it was cool because it got pretty deep with her. And we spent we spent about 40 minutes. That's how long it took us to do it. So it was a really good experience for me as well, even from a coaching perspective.
Awesome, Lori. Yeah. Sylvia?
Well, I didn't do the map. Obviously, it was a choice of mine unconsciously not to do it at this time. So I will put my attention out there to do it this week before our next get together. But other than that, it is a learning process and a growing process. And I'm anxious to see what our next move is. And I like that you're making us actually do the process as we go along, Elijah. So good on you.
Okay, thank you. Manuel?
Yeah, I did the map with my colleague here, Brett, and it was a good experience. It was cool because we're similar enough in age and I guess at similar points in our career that it was interesting talking to another young person about it. But we do a lot of personal development here at work already, but it's very different in that it's more, I don't know if traditional is the word or structured, and I find the maps are very, not emotionally draining per se, but it affects you differently. You kind of have to approach your emotions more than you would traditionally when you're doing like goal setting and that kind of stuff. It's more kind of big picture stuff, and you're thinking usually only about material things, and the maps kind of make you tap into another side of you. So it was a good kind of emotionally connective activity, and he seemed to enjoy it and take some value from it as well. So it was interesting, but he liked it, and I liked facilitating it. It seemed pretty straightforward, so it wasn't too complicated.
Awesome. Michelle?
Yeah, big fail as well. Well, not a big fail. It didn't happen at this time.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Anything happened this week in regards to anything you want to bring up?
Sorry, I thought that was a general question for everybody about the big life plan and everything. My apologies. I'm like, well, who's speaking? No, I think, no, nothing's coming to mind.
Okay. I have something that came to mind. I don't know if it's appropriate to bring it up, though.
Okay, sure, Manuel.
You can guide me on this, Elijah. I don't know if you guys have seen that new documentary on Michael Jordan on Netflix. Everyone here seems to be talking about it and how wonderful it is. But in the first couple episodes, the biggest takeaway I've kind of gathered from it, as far as when they built the team that he was on that kept winning, just how specific like each player's role was, from like the general manager to the owner of the team to the different players, and how everyone had to function specifically in that role for the team to have success. And it was very structured, I guess, for lack of a better term, how you put it. And I was trying to kind of juxtapose that with the whole cooperative concept and how it's meant to accomplish the same thing but be less structured. And I was trying to figure out how to mentally reconcile with like organizing something to be as successful as a traditional structure would be without the structure. And I've been mentally struggling with how to create the model to do that. Like, I have a call tomorrow morning with one of the gentlemen from the cooperative organization to kind of talk about some of that stuff, but I haven't been able to pinpoint how do you do it with different personality types as far as the leadership perspective without kind of an authoritarian placing the pieces, so to speak, where you need to keep getting things done. So like, I still get the value and I see it. I keep getting stuck on, well, how do you actually make it work? Not just a theory behind why it's important. So I'm stuck there. If anybody can help, I would greatly appreciate it, because
Okay.
I can't get it from concept to reality.
Okay. And was there another goal of coming up with a shared goal for the whole team?
I don't know if we communicated on that.
Didn't. No, we didn't.
Didn't for the Learning Center, wasn't there some sort of team goal? Well, obviously it didn't drop if it was.
Group goal, what would we like to accomplish in the next 9 months?
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, we
without
totally dropped it all.
hijacking that, I know on a personal note, I'd like us to figure out a way to make the cooperative system as effective as a traditional system, while I guess keeping everybody still dignified. I know with like traditional, I guess, authoritarian systems, the problem is you can get a lot of stuff done, but people often don't feel dignified or like they're part of the process. So I think the cooperative system adds a lot more dignity and personal values into it. So if we can make it work the same way from an effective perspective, I think that would be a good goal. Or at least that's my personal perspective. I don't know if you guys feel different about it, but.
Okay, why don't each of you add in your perspective at this time and see if we can go into a bit of a brainstorm and figure out a shared goal?
Yeah, could you repeat that, just the bullet goal, Emmanuel, please?
Yeah, to figure out a way for us to make our cooperative system as effective as a more authoritarian or traditional system would be as far as getting things done. So we still meet with frequency, we execute, we get things done, and everyone's on task without the need for traditional authority to make sure everyone feels, I don't know if valued is the right term, or dignified in the process. So they all feel like we shared and collaborated without anybody feeling like they were, I guess, told what to do. They connected more than they were told. I don't know if I'm articulating myself properly, but that's how my emotions feel about it, if that makes sense.
Inclusive and effective.
Yeah.
And building connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. So as you're saying that, Emmanuel, I start thinking of the inflow matrix model, Elijah, and how, because even when the cooperative came out, and it's a marketing cooperative, so the goal, kind of a bit of the goal of the cooperative was to say, we're a marketing cooperative, so let's go find all these entrepreneurs and these small business people that they can't afford to advertise all on their own, get all their own stuff going. The Learning Center becomes that hub, and then everybody can flow through it to go out to the world. Mm-hmm. So then it's one website. Everybody's going to have their own system. Like if Emmanuel's going to do a teenagers and investing money or kids and money program, it'll funnel through there because it'll get a way bigger audience and way less expenses. But maybe if we can get our core team on an inflow matrix map, so we really, like right now we're saying, okay, we have a chair, we have a co-chair, we have a treasurer, we have all the traditional stuff.
Yeah. And
you're right, Emmanuel, it's like, I am a bit of a take charge personality. We do know everybody's personalities, but it is, nobody wants to we don't want this. Yeah. We want this.
Yeah.
And how can we all come together to take that forward? Like Sylvia and I have financial money invested in this cooperative.
Yeah.
Like we're investors. And, how do we take that out to people in a new paradigm model way? Because number one, it's a marketing cooperative. There's been a couple successful ones even in the province of Saskatchewan and Alberta, because I was on a call the other day called Communicating Connections, and he put us out into work groups, and we had to solve an issue in a community that was losing. One of the big companies were leaving, so the elevator was going to be empty. And what they did with it as a community coming together as business people, investors, whatever, to create in that community was unbelievable. They put a restaurant in there. They put almost like a, not a conscious cafe, but a little cafe where people could gather from the community. And it might have been an old Legion Hall. I can't remember because there was 3 stories. And I was part of one of the groups. And I was with a guy from Alberta and a guy from Brandon for this cooperative communications talk with Kyle. So somehow we need to bring it to that level and then bring it in a whole new way, because we're ready to stand out and shine here in Yorkton. Because Kyle even sees it. That's why he wants to do individual calls with everybody to see if everybody's kind of where they are.
Yeah.
And if they don't feel a part of and they're just going, no, this isn't really me, I'm just sitting in this role because this is what I was asked to do, then it's okay if they decide they don't want to.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100%.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well,
Ina.
I don't know if there's, I'm going to bottom line it. 9 months takes it to January, the end of January, February 2021.
Yeah.
I think a goal needs to be that we are not only debt-free from the Community Futures debt, but we are covering all our costs, debt-free from Community Futures grant debt loan thing we got. And like I'm going more tangible with, we need to start generating income. At the bare minimum, in 9 months, we need to be covering costs. And at least, even if it's not debt-free with Community Futures, we have to be meeting our repayment obligations. I think that's a good goal for 9 months, given also that we don't know when the hell we can open up the doors with ease moving forward.
But we can do virtual. Look what we're doing right now.
But that's not a revenue generator for the space.
It's not to physically be in the space, but we can start getting training going through.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so whatever, but the ultimate goal
Yes,
is to cover costs.
The ultimate goal, yes.
Wherever the revenue generation comes from, we got bills to pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
And I don't know that there might be a blend as we try to figure this out of traditional, and I don't know if I resonate with the idea of authoritarian as a word for that, but I'm going with more traditional management structure, a hybrid of sort with the inflow matrix as well, because it doesn't have to be one or the other. In my view, it's a unique organization, and we can figure out how it works, however it works. And if there's a bridge using traditional structure to get us over to the inflow matrix, then let's do it. If we need a COO, if we need managers XYZ, or maybe it's but somebody, that in my view is what we've been missing, is here's the plan, who's implementing, who's reporting back, do.
Okay, excellent. Sylvia?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Michelle in regards to where our vision should be at the moment is to define a way to generate income to at least cover the bills, and have somebody kind of strategically, whatever that word is, lead the way and have some accountability to our group. But I really do like the inflow matrix, so that's not powered as one, but how do we, I just don't know what that looks like.
Okay, well, that gives me the exercise of the week to do to fill in what I see as a big missing piece here. And so can everyone get a piece of paper?
Small one or big one or what?
A decent size one. Yeah, don't put the pieces on yet. And actually, yeah, okay, draw an Enneagram. Draw an Enneagram.
Can you draw one and hold one up for me, please?
So it's a circle, triangle.
9 points.
Yeah. So the circle with the triangle. The triangle is 9, 3, 6. And then just put the numbers around it, and then you connect them.
You go put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You connect the 3, 6, then the 9.
Yeah.
And then you draw a line from 1 to 4, from 4 to 2, from 2 to 8, and 8 to 5, 5 to 7, and 7 to 1. So again, we're using this as a universal structure for process. And what we're going to do right now is we are going to draw on the time cycles. So does everyone have an Enneagram drawn right now?
Yeah, I'm missing. What am I missing?
Are we ready?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, at number 1, write lifetime cycle. At number 2, write yearly cycle.
All right, one was lifetime.
Yeah. Number 3 is lunar cycle. Number 4 is daily cycle. So this is your long term. You've got your lifetime, your year, your lunar, and your day, but there's a bit of a weirdness to the inflow that at 5, which is the midpoint, we have seasonal cycle. Because the seasons are the switch point for everything. And on this particular map, we're not going in a time, it's the one thing out. And then we have at 6, we have hourly cycle. At 7, we have minute cycle. At 8, we have the present moment. And at 9, we have timelessness. And we're coming up to our time where we're going to have to switch soon. But first, before we switch to go to part 2, I'd like to get just your feedback. What do you see in front of you? What does it mean to take a look at these multiple time cycles on the Enneagram? What do you see you haven't seen before, or what functions do you see that could be useful? Would you like to start, Emmanuel?
I'm probably the worst person to start, to be honest. I'm trying to make sense of it all. Different is the first word that kind of comes to my mind. I'm trying to understand it. It seems like everything has a place, but I don't yet know kind of why everything's placed where it's placed. I'm a big kind of why person, so until I can understand why, I don't know if I can offer much value, to be honest with you, but I'm trying to figure it out.
Sylvia?
Well, what resonated with me right off the bat was seasonal. I'm not sure why. Probably because changes all the time, right? I mean, we're always looking at changes. Other would be, I guess, lifetime and yearly, but seasonal kind of really stood out for me for whatever reason.
Okay. Michelle?
I'm drawn to the top of it, I'm mostly, I think, a 9. Just I'm observing with interest that it's timelessness up there, and knowing that that's the peacemaker as well. Seems like an interesting overlay there.
Okay. Lori?
What stood out for me right off the bat, because I hadn't seen the map in this capacity, was I went to the 936. I went to the triangle, because I always look at things in threes, because I think it's pretty powerful. So when we see 3 being the lunar cycle, 6 being the hourly cycle, and then I'm like Michelle, I just went to the top, go, oh, timelessness. Wow. And in my business map, my inflow matrix business map, the 9 is the steward of the ship. So you're giving that direction. You're the steward of your own life. So that timelessness really stood out for me. I got goosebumps when Michelle said that about, oh, timelessness. That's kind of cool. So that the 936 triad is what really stood out for me. The seasonal as well, knowing seasons change. And I'm thinking of my business environment and how, you know, at certain times of the year, RSP season, well, it's busy through that time. Blue Cross plans, they're busy at that time. Like everything within my business has a season of when it's the peak times and the lower times. And how do we take those peaks and spread it out over the year as far as finance and money goes, so that we're not sitting like we all are right now in COVID-19 going, oh, where are we going to get money from? Oh, I've never put anything aside. My business made tons of money, or our province made tons of money years ago. Where's the money? So that was that really stands out for me in the seasonal.
Okay, well, it's good to get your feedback, and I understand that, you know, a lot of the stuff I'm presenting is new and hasn't been seen before. And for me, because I've been immersed in it, you know, and this is the beginning of the training, I need the feedback to truly understand, you know, where you're at and what kind of impact it has. And I think if I can just add a little before we go to part 2, that the idea is that we have multiple perspectives. If you put something in the middle, and you can write all cycles in the middle, that whatever you're looking at is very different, right, from the different time perspectives. So if you're looking at something from a year point of view, it's very different from looking from a minute point of view, right? Like right now, we're at a minute point of view, we're talking, we're going through this whole thing, but if we had 50 of these over a period of a year, this one conversation would be in the context of the full year of all these things occurring, right? And so every business has all of these different parts to it, and some are operating like directly with the customer, minute to minute. Person comes in the door and you're going through a process with them, while others are sort of long-term, seasonal, or yearly accounting processes, which you're looking at the whole scope of the year for the business. And what I found in a lot of infrastructures is they don't take that into account. You might have marketing, and you might have infrastructure, you might have services as the beginning of the breakdown of the business, right? But they don't take into account that there are different time cycles that are being looked at all the time. And so one of the main thing about the inflow matrix is that we're going to put business functions on top of these time cycles that match. So it's a completely new way of seeing or organizing a business, and then looking at who are you as people. And some people, they like a long amount of time, they're working on some research, and they, you know, you can't ask them, go do this tomorrow. It's going to take them maybe months or years to do it. While other people, like they like things now, they want to meet a lot of people, they don't want to wait. And those two different mentalities are very, very different. And if you put someone in the wrong place, they're not going to do that well. And again, this isn't really taken into account, I think, in organizational design. And so that's one of the main features of the inflow matrix. And so we come to the end of part 1. I'm going to invite you back in for part 2, and just give me a few seconds, okay?